chest.
Oh, the steamer from Cleveland. Oh, we were live. Whoops.
I wasn't paying attention. How long have we been live?
Just a few seconds.
Oh, who's been listening to this? Oh, God.
Nobody. Thank God. Probably should put a title or thing for me to read here. This week.
This is how professional our podcast is.
Yeah. We talk about copies? Handguns? Mark? Burgundy? We'll do that. Hello and welcome to Handgun Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Machad from the wild woods of central Maine, and this is your home for all the news, information, and discussion in the handgunning world. This week, we talk about copies of handguns. As always, we're brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network, and please check out the Patriot Patch Company for their awesome patches and other high-quality items. Visit patriotpatch.co for more information. They've had actually a couple really awesome artist-proof patches, renditions, that come with them. They're sort of like on a postcard type material, showing what they did to make the patch that you are getting. So I have one that came with a recent back-to-back World War Champs patch, and then I think there's also one coming out with the Taxation is Theft patch. So be sure to go check that out. And as always, shop Amazon using our affiliate link at firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. And please help support Handgun Radio. Head over to firearmsradio.tv/pledge and click on HGR. There are a bunch of different pledge levels over there, and we really appreciate it. So, Weird, how you doing?
I'm doing. Yeah, I've had better days. It was a rough day, but you know what? I'm still alive.
What'd you do this week?
I took my daughter to Plymouth Plantation, and she was a grouch the whole time.
You took her to Plymouth Plantation.
Yes.
What was at Plymouth?
What?
Well, what was there to see there?
There was supposedly there was like a guns demonstration, but she had completely melted down, and I was carrying her crying out before that was happening. They do have their it's their meeting house with fortifications with cannons in there, but it's a living museum. So they've got the classic houses with people dressed up in the colonial stuff, just doing colonial things. Like it was getting close to lunchtime, so they were all cooking their lunch, over the open fires. So
you sure you just didn't get irritated that they weren't like using 1911s? You're like, this is totally wrong. I'm out of here.
Yes, that's right. Because when the Mayflower landed, they all had 1911s.
They didn't?
No, they were using revolvers.
Oh, exactly. That's much better. Yeah.
Single action revolvers. They had single action revolvers then. Yeah. And yeah, they've got a Wampanoag village there too, with actual Wampanoags, which is pretty cool. They're talking about that sort of stuff. It was actually very, very interesting. I just wish my daughter was in a better mood when we were there. Excellent. Oh, and also it's not a federal park. I wasn't sure, and I just said, you know what, I'm not chancing it. Didn't bring a gun. You could bring a gun there.
Excellent. Well, this past week, actually, we've kind of been behind in episodes posting, but this past week and a half or so, I got a chance to go out to the range. Finally, everything has stabilized out there because we had a big, when mud season came, everything was kind of a mess out there. So I wasn't really able to get out and shoot in my normal place.
For those who don't know, mud season was what we call the season of spring in Maine.
Yeah. Get your car stuck, call AAA, get you the hell out of the hole there. So
don't call AAA. You know a guy who's got a truck and some straps. He'll pull it right out.
No, it's called the skidder. Thank you.
Oh, yes. Driving to the church and the store.
So finally I was able to get out there. I went out and bought I have an 8-inch now and a 4-inch plate to shoot. So I went out and bought another shepherd's hook. So I was able to do like some transitions between targets, which was fun. Using the 22 to see how far out I could hit both plates from with the pistol, which was really awesome. 55 yards was about my limit so far.
That's a pretty good range there.
I was pretty happy with that. With iron sights, with the fiber optic sight on the Volquartsen with a 22, I have a video I'll be posting on the Handgun Radio Facebook page showing me doing it. So And I also took my dad's Kimber Micro 9 out. I put about probably 50 to 75 rounds through that. Gun functioned flawlessly, didn't have a hiccup. I have not put any oil on it or anything. So, I mean, people hate Kimbers, but this one works.
Well, I mean, again, that's a statement of Kimber. So actually, I haven't really heard anything one way or the other about their Micro 9s.
It works really good. And the sights on it are really fantastic. They're as good, if not better, than the sights that are on my CM9.
How's the trigger on it?
Not bad. It pivots. It's not the same like straight back trigger like you would have on a 1911. It's a pin at the top, so it pivots on that pin. But it's really very, very short travel. The safety is the right way. Like, it's easy to take off, but not that easy to put on.
Which is, by the way, the safety is also not like a 1911 because you can rack the slide with the safety on with that gun.
Right. It's definitely a gun. Like if you're someone who isn't comfortable with cocked and locked carry, probably not an option for you. Definitely go with like one of like the G43 or the car guns, but it's a really good gun for what it is. I mean, it's functioned great. It's very, very accurate. I have no problem shooting it. In 9mm, it's pretty controllable with 115 grain standard ball ammo.
I mean, I've handled a bunch of the Sig Sauers, the 238 and the 938, and with those, the trigger it's fine. It's not a bad trigger. And I'm not saying they're bad guns, but it's really stiff for a single action trigger. I kind of don't expect a single action trigger to have that much weight to it, but this one's not that heavy. What would you say the weight's about?
I mean, probably right around 4, maybe a little bit closer to 5. It's really not that bad.
That's awesome. I mean, 5 pounds is very reasonable.
So yeah, that was a good time. So what is your drink segment this week?
So I don't have a name for it. This is something I cooked up just on a whimsy. So here's another accessible drink. I've heard a lot of people were excited about the variation of the aviation that I found out about in Las Vegas. And this one, it's going to use actually a bunch of the same stuff. So you've already got the gin, you've already got the lemon juice. I throw in the additional ingredient, which is a slightly exotic, but only slightly. You'll be able to find this, is rhubarb syrup. Now, for me, it was just because I have some basil growing in my garden, so I can make green parks a little bit later on in the season. I'll talk more about that one later when that starts showing up in my glass. But but my rhubarb was growing up over my basil, so I pulled up a couple of stalks of rhubarb, and these were 2 big hefty stalks of rhubarb, and that was more than enough to make the syrup that I'm making and a rhubarb crumble that I'm actually still eating off of. So you just need, like, grocery stores these days, they have rhubarb. Like, do they have rhubarb at your grocery store, Ryan?
I usually pick rhubarb out of my back garden.
Yeah. In New England, we've all got rhubarb. It's
kind of gross on its own, honestly.
Yeah. It's really aggressive once it's established. But they sell it at my grocery store. And it's not anything special. And the stocks aren't as big as the ones that I pick off of mine, but you just need one celery rib size stalk of rhubarb. And that's more than enough. And just dice it up, put it in a bowl, cover it with sugar. I used about, I don't know, 4 to 8 ounces of rhubarb. I wasn't weighing it. And then about a half cup of sugar, covered it over. And there's enough moisture in the rhubarb that it actually pretty much made syrup right there. You can add a little bit more water if you think there's some grit at the bottom of it, maybe add a little heat to it, maybe even throw it in the microwave. And then you can pour it into your, straight it into your, whatever you're going to dispense it with. But I knew that was a good idea to do with my rhubarb, to make some syrup out of it. And I said, you know what? That'd probably go well with gin. There's actually a couple of places in the New England area that make rhubarb gin. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to add some gin. And I found that rhubarb and lime didn't work so well. Rhubarb and lemon worked very, very well. And again, New Amsterdam gin pears is it's not like Tanqueray. Tanqueray is actually made with lime. So if you mix Tanqueray with lemon juice, sometimes it tastes a little off. It kind of clashes. New Amsterdam's actually makes more with orange peels.
New Amsterdam was actually on sale this week.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, $13.99 for a fifth.
Oh man, it was that much in New Hampshire for a 1.75. You poor bastard. But yeah, so essentially, I don't know if I gave all the ingredients, but it's 2 ounces New Amsterdam gin, 1 ounce lemon juice, ½ ounce rhubarb syrup. I've got some Fee Brothers celery bitters in here just to give it a little je ne sais quoi, if you will. In looking it up, I put links in the show notes. And looking it up, I found that they make a cardamom bitters, and my rhubarb crumble that I just mentioned uses cardamom seeds in it, and cardamom and rhubarb go so well together. So I would highly recommend that combination. I may actually have to pick up a bottle of this bitters. So yeah, I don't know what it's called. My nephew was over the other day and I was mixing a drink. And I said, he says, you want a drink? I'm having one. He goes, yeah, sure. What are you making? I said, I don't know what this is called, but here, I'll let you take a sip of it. And if you like it, I'll make you one. Sipped it. He liked it. So I said, there, take it. I'll make another one for me. And he's like, oh man, we should call it Weird Beard Lemonade. I don't like that name, but that's
bottle it and sell it.
Yes.
Sponsored by Handgun Radio.
That's right.
Excellent. So with that, we'll head into the main topic, imitation handguns. We actually need to come up with a better name for this because it's not really imitations, so to speak.
Some of them are.
Well,
imitations
of piss a lot of people off if we say that. I mean, there's a couple on here that people are going to be like, oh, well, come on, wait a second.
I mean, let's just dive into it.
All right. So the first one we have on here is the FEG High Powers.
Mm-hmm. Now, those are straight up imitations because in some instances, FEG out of Hungary was actually putting Belgian roll marks on them. So these are like straight up imitations.
I have a lot of experience with these.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Well, tell me more.
Well, I owned the FEG P9R, which was the, how do I want to put this? It was the double action sort of Browning high power copy. Basically, if you like closed off, like if you took your hand and covered the front end of it, it looked basically like a Smith & Wesson 59.
Yep.
Same, double action trigger, double action, the safety and everything on the slide. But if you looked at the front of it, it looked like a high power. It had the same slide cuts.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of them.
Then you had the FEG pistols, which were actually like true single action high power copies. And a friend of mine had one of those. It was a great gun. They were both very, very good guns.
Mm-hmm.
And I was happy with them. I mean, I ended up selling it for something else, but it was a fantastic pistol. It shot great. It was very accurate, reliable. I don't recall having any problems with it.
Cool.
Have you had any experience with those?
I think I don't even know what the one high power I've shot is. I only shot like one high power. They're pretty thin on the ground here. I mean, they're around, but you just don't see them very often. But yeah, no, I've never shot one of the FEG high powers. I've shot whatever their PPK looking things are.
The PA 63s.
Yeah, or it might be a PP. I don't know.
The one with that aluminum frame, the silver frame, and the blued slide.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of experience with the FEG high powers. My friend actually has one of the ones that I sold. One of the double action ones with the double stack magazine, and they shoot great. They're not really a true high power just because on the back end they're basically a Smith & Wesson double action. But my other friend, the Mad Aussie, did have one of the FE. I think they called it the P9R or something else, something like that. And that was a single action auto. with your standard Browning high power magazine.
Yep.
So they shot great. Never had any problems with them.
I mean, there's whole like websites devoted to determining whether or not your high power with Belgian marks is a Belgian high power or an FEG clone. Like, so they're also like, not only are they imitations, but they're good enough imitations that you need to look close to figure out if in fact it's the real thing or the imitation.
Right. Now, the Pieta pistols.
Mm-hmm.
Is your black powder pistol a Pieta?
I usually don't know off the top of my head. I think it's an Uberti, if I had to guess.
Well, Uberti or Pieta, both of those companies put out a hell of a black powder pistol for the price. In terms of reproductions,
they make cartridge conversions too, don't they?
I think Uberti may. I don't know about Pieta, but I know there are companies that sell conversion cylinders to allow you to shoot cartridge conversion stuff, like lead 38s and stuff like that.
I know Uberti makes a what is the Smith & Wesson number 3?
Schofield or the number 3?
Yeah. And I think they make a 44 Russian as well, which those are cool looking guns. I've never actually handled one. I always want to know how that like the hook on the trigger spur actually feels in the hand.
I think the hook on the trigger spur was to allow you to be able to like maintain better control of it, because you have that hump on the back of the grip. The more pronounced hump on the back of the grip of the Russian as opposed to the regular number 3.
Well, I think the Russian was the number 2.
No, the Russian was the you had the number 3 was the number 3 Russian, which had the big hook and then that big like hump spur on the back of the grip at the very top.
So the Schofield came first, then the Russian?
I think the Schofield came after the Russian.
Okay, yeah.
The Schofield, the difference between the Schofield and the Russian was the where the latch was placed,
and the cartridge.
And the cartridge.
Russian versus 45 Schofield.
Let's see here. Apparently there's an Admiral Schofield who is also a basketball player.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure though that the difference is the Smith & Wesson Model 3. So the Russian model, because it was produced for the Russian Empire, the Schofield, which had some different design modifications.
Either way,
yes.
Either way, you can still get one now, and you can get them in at least the Uberti ones. They make those in 45 Colt, so you don't need to hunt around for 45 Schofield.
And there's a Wikipedia article that can tell you all about it.
Yes.
But Pieta, I mean, they make an incredible amount of stuff. And it's all really high quality. I'm really impressed. The black powder revolver that I have, I mean, the bluing on it, I wouldn't expect that from what I paid for that revolver.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, let's see, on the Cabela's website, you can get the 1851 Confederate Navy 44 caliber revolver, which is what I have, for $150.
Jeez, that's a good price.
You can get the 1858 full frame, top strap, and everything Remington New Army 44 caliber for $219. And then Pieta is making the single action Army Colt 45 for $349.
Oh, so that's a 45 Colt.
That's a cartridge revolver.
Gun. Nice. So they do make cartridge guns.
Yeah, $349 starting price. That's not bad.
For a good quality gun, not bad at all.
And I mean, I wouldn't doubt Pieta either. I mean, let's see here. You got stainless steel guns for $350, the black powder ones. Shorter barrels, all different variations. I'm trying to find your Colt Walker.
Yeah, they get some bankers specials and those sort of things. Those are really cool. The super duper snub nosed guns.
Yeah, I know they made a Walker at one point. Maybe that's Uberti.
Yeah, I know Uberti. I'm almost positive mine's an Uberti.
But yeah, I mean, any variation in the black powder game is really something you can get in on the ground floor of really cheaply.
Mm-hmm.
So, Colt 1903s.
That's something you can't get into so cheaply.
Honestly, I don't know what's been going on with this. We talked about this before the show, but I totally forgot about this. If you listen to back to like episode 145, 150, I'm not sure which, we spoke with the media representative from geez, I don't remember the name of the people that are doing it. The people who were making the Colt 1903 copies for Colt. U.S. Armament, that's who it was.
Yep.
U.S. Armament Corp. These are the same people who had made the Gatling gun copies for Colt way back in the day. I think they only made like 10 of them, or maybe even less.
They were expensive as well.
Yeah, crazy expensive, all brass, all that stuff. And we had actually had an interview on the show with the media representative from them, and they seem to. I think they're still doing the copies. I'm not sure of the sales of them or anything like that. And I know they were kind of high end, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh, well, why would you buy a copy of this gun when you could buy an original for $700 or $800 and the copy cost you $1,000?" Well, I mean, the copy's made from modern materials and stuff like that. People, but the thing is, I think with that gun, a lot of people are buying it because of the historical factor.
Yep. And just the idea is that, I mean, they're not, whatever they're making, they're not making a ton of them. So,
they're not buying, people aren't buying them to carry them.
No.
As much as I think a Colt, if a Colt 1903 had a nice drop safety, modern safety on it, I'd love to carry one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're awesome. But, a Colt 1903 and 9mm with the proper safety that you could carry chamber full, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. In 9mm, huh?
And they're nice and thin. Well, I'm sorry, they couldn't make it in 45. Weird.
Well, no, I'm just bringing it up to 9mm now. Suddenly, you're kind of imposing a locked breech on it, because otherwise you're gonna have to put a high point slide on that thing.
Gas operated. The Colt P7.
Oh man, we went there.
I actually had a friend of the show, Barry Goldwater, sent us a message. The blonde, wasn't he a politician?
Yeah, he was actually Reagan's protege, or Reagan was his protege. Yeah, he was from Arizona. He was kind of a libertarian leaning Republican.
Wasn't he the guy that told Nixon to get the hell out?
I don't know, but that sounds like him.
He emailed us actually requesting, what would you think of an LCP-2 chambered in 22 long rifle? I don't know, weird. What do we think of that?
I think you've been talking to Ruger about that as often, and
I just wanted to mention that. I was like, man, you must not have listened way back to the shows, because I have wanted one of those for so long.
That'd be like, hey, weird, what would you think about a Ruger LCR scaled up to GP100 size? Gee, I don't know, Ryan. What would I think? Like, come on, man. Hey, weird, what would you like for an M&P full size in 10mm? What would you think?
Yep, I want one.
Yeah, I want one. Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
So Taurus. Weird. I'll let you take this a little bit.
So you were doing a little bit of reading before the show, and I was not. I was being lazy. I don't know. Were these were licensed copies? I know that. Like, so we're actually talking, imitations. These were straight up copies of Taurus. Started off making Smith & Wesson revolvers. I think, were they 1912s?
Yeah, there was I guess so. From what I'm reading here, Taurus produced its first revolver in 1941. Then it started exporting revolvers in 1968 to the U.S. In 1971, Bangor Punta Corporation, then the parent company of Smith & Wesson, purchased 54% of the Taurus company, allowing the two firearms manufacturers to easily share information regarding design and manufacturing. In 1977, Taurus was purchased from Bangor Punta by its current owners, and its ties to Smith & Wesson were severed. I do not know, and I remember reading something about how they had some design parameters and stuff from Smith & Wesson, and that's why their revolvers kind of resemble Smith & Wesson's so much.
Yeah, but they're not perfect clones. Like
No, they're not perfect clones. I don't think that they had the same tooling like they did with the whole Beretta thing. But also in 1980, after Italian this is from Wikipedia. In 1980, after Italian arms manufacturer Beretta had completed its contracts to produce firearms for Brazil's military, Taurus purchased Beretta's Sao Paulo manufacturing plant, along with the tooling, the technical drawings, and the workforce necessary to produce several different pistol designs.
All right, so that's straight up.
The PT-92.
Because also I know that now we're going on to rifles, but I know that Brazil used a clone of the FNFAL, and theirs was a Belgian licensed clone of the FAL. So
I don't know about you, Weird, but do you think we ought to get Daniel on for a Taurus episode?
Oh my God.
Why haven't we done that yet? Holy hell.
Well, we're trying to get Daniel on. We were trying to get him on tonight.
Next week is Magmatics.
Yes.
But people haven't been clamoring for a Taurus episode, but I think it's what the people want.
I think it would be interesting. It would be right up there with when Ian talked about the financial history of Colt through the decades.
People didn't want to find out that Milli Vanilli lip synced, but they were satisfied when they found out. It's kind of the same deal. Is it kind
of? I think I'm not old enough to say that, and you're 10 years younger than me.
Oh, come on.
And then he died.
That's not very nice. So yeah, no, we should definitely get Daniel on for that. But talking about Taurus, Beretta, so I'm kind of curious, what would have made them, if they had all the tooling and everything, and they were basically Beretta light, why would they move the safety from the slide to the frame if they already had the Beretta tooling?
No, because the 92 originally had the safety there. They got older tooling. The 92 originally had the safety mounted like a 1911 or a high power.
Why in the hell would you change that?
Well, because it wasn't a decocking safety.
That's fine.
I would argue that. Okay, it's a tough sell because a slide mounted safety is garbage. I hate slide mounted safeties.
Yeah, SIG didn't put the safety on the slide.
That's actually so they could have been like the original, not the SIGs, but the JP Sowers.
Yeah,
where they had the actual thumb safety that would disengage the trigger and the decocking lever on the slide.
Well, then you're looking at the HKP9S. Same one that could, because it had the same deal where you could bring it down and then you could cock it by holding the trigger and bringing.
It had that weird lever on the side, so you could push the lever up and cop the hammer, push the lever down.
It had something to do with holding the trigger, and it freaked people out.
I don't remember that. I shot one, and I did do all the weird tricks.
It was in Moss's book, Handguns in the World, where you could hold the lever down and slowly release the trigger, and it would slowly decock the hammer, something like that. I'll have to look it up. I'll post it on the page so people can see it once I find it. But the P9S had that, not the other guns.
Yeah. But I Beretta definitely dropped the ball with the slide mounted decocker. You could have put a decocker somewhere else.
But back to Taurus, I mean, PT-92 is the one version of their guns that I don't hear people complain about much.
Well, I gotta imagine. I mean, it's because of that open top slide, you're going to have a lot less issues for jams. It's almost impossible to get them a stovepipe. You can do it, but
so basically, if every Taurus had the open top slide, they would be great guns.
It would help.
I like Taurus. People are going to probably email us saying, "Why do you hate my Taurus?" I really like Taurus. I carry a Taurus regularly, so don't send me emails.
No.
I carry the PT-22 Poly
but
like
yeah,
all the
but,
time.
the PT, is it PT-92? Is that the name of it?
That was the Beretta copy. Yeah.
Yeah. The PT-92 is like a Beretta 92 that's stuck in time.
I think the smaller ones like that had the compact slides and stuff had different names. Yeah, like PT-911 or something like that.
Where did they put is the magazine release at least? Oh, no, and they moved the magazine. They did move the magazine release to the proper place.
Right.
Because those original Berettas had essentially they had a button magazine release, but it was practically a heel magazine release.
Recessed into the grip or something.
Yeah, way down in the back.
Yeah.
There, I just found a very, very old one that's got the heel magazine release.
Speaking of that, I have a little experience with the Beretta 1951 and the Tariq pistol.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't talked much about this. We really won't go into too much detail on it, but this pistol is basically a single action Beretta 92.
Single stack.
Yeah, single stack. They feel single action too. They feel really good in the hand. Mm-hmm. They're just a little bit different. You look at them and you think like, oh, Beretta 92, but they're not. They're really thin. It's really incredible. When you hold one, you're like, wow, this is, I mean, because I've held 92s before and it's like, oh, this isn't that bad. The difference between the two is really outstanding.
Yep.
It's a great pistol. They shoot great. I haven't had any problems with them. It's one of the videos that I've had more comments on than any other on my YouTube channel. People telling me I called it the wrong thing. I was shooting it wrong. It has the wrong this, that, or the other thing. But yeah, they shoot great. Them. Yeah.
And I believe the Tariq, was that a licensed copy? Do you know?
I think that Beretta supplied Egypt with the tooling for it. Mm-hmm. Same thing.
Wait, was that Egypt or Iraq?
Egypt. Well,
I think it was Iraq, wasn't it? I think Weird's going to win a beard. Weirdbeard's going to win a beer.
Tariq, that you're right, Iraq.
Oh, there we go. Make mine a Pabst Blue Ribbon.
What was the one called?
Did Egypt have a Beretta?
Oh, the Helwan. That's it.
What was that? Was that a Beretta as well?
That's the Egyptian version. I had a Helwan.
Okay.
The Tariq is the Iraqi version.
Mm-hmm.
But basically all the same gun.
Yep.
Like P38 style grips on it.
Well,
that give you that palm swell at the bottom.
I mean, they're very much based on the P38. I mean, that's, right. It's got the action is called the Walther locking block.
So it is the Helwan. That's the one that I had.
I like the fact that you could remember the name of your own gun.
Well, had as in like a borrowed from somebody for like 3 months. He had two guns. He had a not the Youngman, LJUNG. What is it? But the what the hell is it? It's got the huge slide on it.
High power, high point.
No.
Desert Eagle.
I am not going to give you the wrong Hakim.
The Hakim.
Yeah.
Oh, the rifle. Yeah.
Yes.
The Egyptian rifle.
8mm with this huge bolt that slams forward and scares the hell out of you.
Yeah.
And could take off your thumb. Everybody was like, "You think you have Garand thumb? Wait till you shoot this rifle wrong."
Yeah, Hakim amputation.
We have two more here before we wrap up. The Irma Luger. Have you seen these?
I've seen pictures of them. I've never actually seen one.
They're funky little pistols. I've seen them before, and they look like a Luger, but they're not quite a Luger. I think they're just kind of like one of those reproductions that they look like one. But let's see here. I've never shot one. I'd love to shoot one. And every single one that I've seen, I've only seen one at a gun show, like in person, but all the pictures I see, they look really, really high quality. But the ones that I've seen sometimes look a little die cast. Let's see here. We have one with the picture I'm seeing has the standard 70s Bakelite or fake plastic wood grain grips.
Yep, I'm looking at one of those, and I'm seeing that. Did they ever make them in 9mm, or are they all like 22 and 380?
I think they were all 22. Well, the only one I knew of was 22 long rifle.
I'm seeing a few like listings that are 380s.
That would be news to me.
Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe it's just Google Images is picking up. It looks like they made a carbine as well.
That would be cool, though.
It's not, well, at least what I'm seeing here, there's not a carbine, but it's got the
pistol with the forend.
It
would be cool to see if a company could make like a 22 long rifle version of these. Because I'm sure they would sell.
Yeah, but it would be expensive because you got to put all that machining in for that toggle lock.
Well, figure out how to do it with modern manufacturing techniques.
Yeah, either way. I mean, the big issue was, there's a reason why the Germans went to the P-38.
It's true. Damn you and your rationalizations of all my ideas.
Let's be honest. We're in a saturated market. Like, there are very few guns that are like, oh my God, that gun is so awesome, but they don't make it today.
Until we are in a market of, I want that gun because I think it's cool. You're not in a market of, I want that gun because I think it fulfills a niche or whatever in my collection that I need. Then the ideas that we have are just like fun ideas.
Oh yeah. I would absolutely love one for just for the giggles of it. But I would love a Dardic.
Oh my God.
Just
imagine a Dardic with the ability to insert regular 38 special cartridges into the triangular round housings.
Yeah, that'd be actually kind of cool.
Like just having those as sleeves that would fit over normal rounds.
But again, it would be nothing but a bad idea anyway, because it's just one of those like, oh, cool. Like, the market would be us.
It would still be fun.
It'd be super fun.
And LCP and Caltech. We're just going to touch on this because we don't want to piss too many people off, but I shot a Caltech 32 way, way back in the day before the LCP was a gleam in whoever's eye. And the minute the LCP came out, I was like, is that a Caltech? Did Ruger buy Caltech?
Yeah, nope. I think the patent expired on the P3AT. Which, by the way, I went for like a decade reading it off like just like that without getting it. Oh, it's a P380. Oh,
yeah. I gotta give him credit. Like that's a decent name. That's
a great name. It's a great name, but I didn't get it. I'm the dummy. But yeah, they are absolutely clones of each other. Not the LCP 2.0, that whatever that is. That's a different beast. But like literally, like there's parts interchangeability, and like I know, like I think it was Laser Max makes like a laser system that works off of the pins in the gun, and it works in both guns because they're clones of each other.
And they should make one in 22 long rifle. Do you have any more you'd like to add before we wrap up?
You know what? One we need to add, because you were talking about your dad's Micro 9. Let's talk a little bit about the Colt 380 government, Colt Mustang, Colt Pony family of guns, because back in the day, Colt made a little locked breech subcompact, gun that was kind of 1911 like, but not exactly. And for the longest time, that market was completely filled by Colt. And I don't know, did the Spaniards make copies of that? Was there a llama that was actually a Colt?
There had to have been. Colt, they made a copy of everything.
Government 380. But either way, now you've got the first pretty much straight up copies, the SIG P238 and the Kimber Wait, Kimber doesn't have one in 380, do they?
I think
they
they
just
do.
Did they make one in 380?
Yeah, I believe they do.
Do they have a micro 380? Is that what it's called? I have to look it up.
A fancy name for it. Kimber Micro 380. Sure do.
Yep. So that right there is your Colt copy, and then they took the next logical step and they scaled it up to 9mm and scaled it up beautifully, as far as I'm concerned.
It shoots great, really does.
On both guns is like, I remember when I first read about the Springfield EMP, which by the way is a great gun, great design. But like the first time I handled one of those guns, I'm like, really? I don't know. I mean, it just didn't feel like that much different than like a subcompact 45. But the idea being that they actually made a 1911 off of the 9mm Luger cartridge. And then the 938 came out, and I handled that, and I'm like, this is what I expected for the EMP. Like really, really nice, small 9mm 1911. Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, everybody gave me crap when I posted the picture of the Kimber Micro 9mm. The gun has functioned flawlessly. Awesome. I've never had any other experiences with Kimber. I can't say for sure whether other people's problems are legit or not, or whether it's just fanboyism, whatever. But the gun that I have has worked. Yeah, it's a sample size of 1. Maybe that's an issue for other people, but not from the gun that I have in my possession.
Maybe Kimber's sick of people giving them the raspberry, and they've actually started putting the quality control into their guns, because, let's be honest, like the difference between a Kimber 1911 and a Smith & Wesson 1911 is not that different.
From everything I've been hearing, SIG is the new Kimber with all the crap going on with the P365. So,
oh yeah, well that's
a whole other bag of worms there.
Yeah, that's more of like a new gun design. So, what problems are going with the 365?
Striker Dragon and all this other crap.
Oh man,
Mac from Military Arms Channel has a pretty decent video on the gun that he bought, and he didn't get it shipped to him either. He bought it like stock from the gun store.
Yep,
wasn't like a T&E version or anything. But
I still want one of those so bad.
Bad striker drag problems, other things. Yeah, go check that out.
They'll fix it though. It's 6 hour.
Oh yeah. Excellent. So with that, we'll head into the wrap-up section and close out the show. Don't forget to shop Brownells using our affiliate link. Head to firearmsradio.tv and click the affiliate link in the upper right-hand corner. Be sure to go like us on Handgun Radio. Jeez. Be sure to go like Handgun Radio on Facebook, because that's really cool. And share it with your friends. Helps the show get noticed. And we posted a lot of stuff over on the Handgun Radio Facebook page and the Handgun Radio discussion group. I've seen a lot of people coming over there, liking the group, trying to join the group. We really appreciate it. If you join the group, you get posts from people like Daniel Waters, who have more knowledge than 10 of me and Weirds and Grant and everybody else combined.
Yeah, you just go there for the Daniel. Like, that's every time I log into Facebook, it's like Daniel Waters posted at Handgun Radio. I'm clicking on that.
Daniel's had the same profile picture for the past, God knows how long I've known him on Facebook. And that if I didn't see that picture, I don't recognize Daniel. I recognize that profile picture. Like, oh, Daniel's posted. Yep, there he is. And you need to go like the page. That's all there is to it. Also, listen to all the great shows in the Firearms Radio Network. We have shows like We Like Shooting, Gun Funny, every single other show on the network. Definitely go check those out. And visit the Firearms Insider for reviews and more awesome content. Be sure to check out the Firearms Radio Network on YouTube. And Weird, as always, thank you for coming on. Thank you for being a co-host on Handgun Radio. And where can people find you?
Well, you can find me at my blog, which is weirdworld.com. And also my other podcast is Assorted Calibers podcast. That's assortedcalibers.com. And we also have a Facebook page. And by all means, if you enjoy listening to me rant and rave here, go on the Facebook page and ask to join that group, and I'll approve you. Don't worry about it. And yeah, and listen to the show. It's a good time.
Absolutely. It is really fantastic, and I always enjoy it. So definitely go check that out. And until next week, have fun and safe shooting.